Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, this was a bad intro, but that's okay. Welcome back to another episode of working on my vintage truck camper. This is the second video I've filmed in the new year. I'm feeling quite good today, actually. Just uploaded the video that you probably watched previous to this, episode 5, where I lost a whole bunch of footage and all that stuff. Getting restarted on a project is always kind of hard, so it's a little weird for me to get restarted on this project. If it's a little dark in here, sorry, but I just gotta get to it. I feel this like need to work on the camper, and I have been longing for it almost. I really like this camper. So, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. I don't even know what I was saying. Nevertheless, we are going to move on. I resealed this window and it's still leaking over here, and I don't know how it's leaking. I am going to be diverting from what I was originally going to be doing, which is replacing the roof, or like fixing the roof. And we're gonna rip this wall off because I got new veneer stuff for this wall. So we're gonna rip that panel off and figure out what's going on. Where's it leaking from? I need to figure out if it's coming from a light or what's happening. So it's been leaking here consistently. So you can see there's wet. And it's really bad right there, and it's really wet down there. But I sealed that window up pretty good, so I'm wondering if it's... I need to take this wall off. I accidentally cut through right here with the what do you call it? The multi-tool. I accidentally cut through right here with the multi-tool, but there's a division right here, and I bought more of this panel. It's not this exact panel, but it is this type of panel. They don't really sell this stuff anymore, so I gotta figure out how to get this off. I need to take this off. It's dripping from there, which again, I'm not sure about. You know what I think I'm gonna do first? I think I'm going to take the roof, this junk, off, because these are getting replaced with 2x4s. And they're just gonna get cut off flush right there, and then I'm just gonna screw in somehow. Well, it's raining, which is a good thing. I can now see what the issue is here, why we're stinging getting water in here. This thing's disgusting as usual. Oh, that hurts my butt. Oh man, I can't fall on the metal though. That'll be bad. Holy smokers! Okay. Well, oh, my knees. Oh, I'll be so glad to be able to not do that. You guys will get to see the build quality of the camper. Another spot I found. Some weird stuff going on here. Because the material I used was split in half, it's not the same, so I did the best I could do, man. Gosh. This is definitely not a restoration. This is a get it back on the road and enjoy it. I am not about doing stuff original, because usually that involves exorbitant amounts of money, lots of money. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. So these are mine. I did this from the outside. Ouch. So the way I did these is I took my tape measure and stuck it up in here. I was able to measure this and measure the width, and I cut it. This is some nicer stuff. This is some stuff that we had lying around that I used. But this is what I've been dealing with. You like that? Yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. Yeah. So you can see I had some mishaps where, like, there I screwed through the side of it, which sucks, but you know, man, it really is what it is. It's a $300 camper. Gosh, look at that. And if you're wondering, like, how's this bad construction? Well, this is cut a different length than this. These staples are not galvanized, I don't believe, or else they probably wouldn't be rusting. So nevertheless, I'm going to be doing the floor first, so I can walk up there and not have to be balancing and have stuff fall down into areas. And we're gonna do the floor, foam board. So it's gonna be 1-inch foam board and then a piece of OSB over the top with the smooth side. If you don't know, OSB has two sides. It's got a rough side and a smooth side. The smooth side's like where it gets, like stamped in the machine different, or it's a different. There's two sides. You can go to OSB at the store, and one side's really stamped like much flatter than the other side. So rough side of the OSB will go down, smooth side will go up. I'll paint that with some Kills because it does stink. It has been outgassing, but it will stink. So the Kills should seal that in. But I'm gonna go through, get everything wiped down, clean everything off, make it to where I can get stuff up in here, and then we're gonna get that done. Because once that's done, then I can climb up there and not be having to, like, balance. And if the thing is, if I fell and, like, stepped or kneeled on the metal, it doesn't matter that I have it screwed down, it would put a huge dent in it because it's aluminum. So alrighty, y'all, if the lighting's a little weird, pardon me. I went and cut all these out. I had to cut them a little weird because I cut them the wrong way, I think. I was supposed to fill, I just did it kind of weird. So there's gonna be some ugly filling, but instead I cut it long ways accidentally, so it's kind of funky. But the way you put these in is you want this side, from what the internet has said, this is aluminum. Not really, it's so thin, it's like thinner than paper, but you want the aluminum facing down, and you want an air gap between the aluminum and the exterior of your camper because it allows for better heat transfer, I guess. So I cut these a little long so they fit in here really, really tight. Obviously they'll expand and shrink over time, and I don't think they'll get loose. If they did, that would suck, but I don't think they will. You guys can see that. Alrighty, y'all, it has been a little bit since I recorded. I actually had a change of plans. This corner over here didn't dry with the heater going. The heater actually wasn't working very well. The heat wasn't blowing. They're cheap heaters. Nevertheless, I figured instead I would insulate this area here because it wasn't insulated. I had a oopsie and was cutting these and realized that these are the wrong ones. This is 1 inch, and it was very hard pressed up against the metal, and I don't like that because it doesn't have very much ventilation and to evaporate like condensation. So I was gonna use it, and I was like, you know what, I should do it right and do it consistent. So all this stuff's 1/2 inch. I cut this wrong, so I had to patch piece in. I did up there and there and there. That's all 1/2 inch stuff. Alrighty, everybody, so with the 1/2 inch stuff, you can cut it normally with a normal razor blade or box cutter, the kind that it's got the, what's that thing called? Trapezoid? I don't know. The kind that you can extend out really far, I think might break. So what I actually did is, this trailer had a whole bunch of random steak knives in it. And I took one of those steak knives and just hand sharpened it on some 40 grit belt sander, just sharpened it on there, and it's super sharp. The issue with the box cutter is it can't reach all the way through, and this stuff's extremely hard to cut. It requires a very sharp knife. So you can actually see the difference between, this is sharp, so you can see how it's nice and smooth. A not sharp one actually rips more, and it will be everywhere. By the way, I wanted to say, make sure you clean this stuff up. Do it indoors. Do it somewhere where it won't get all over the ground, because styrofoam's actually pretty bad for the environment. I'm not an environmentalist kind of guy, but I do like taking care of the Lord's creation. But styrofoam's really bad for the environment, and it's also bad for animals more than the ground. So make sure you sweep this stuff up and try not to let it get all over the place. Just try to do your due diligence. So I just wanted to say, make sure you all clean this stuff up if you're cutting styrofoam and it gets everywhere. It's not super good for the environment. It doesn't biodegrade very well, and animals, if they eat it, it's not good for them as well. So just make sure you clean it up, or preferably cut it inside on a nice concrete floor or something where you can like sweep it up. But yeah, so all that's done. I'm drying that corner out with that box fan. I'm gonna call it a night because I'm a little tired, and I just want to be done. I had a sliver go in between my nail and my stinking thumb. It went like down in it. I thought I got it out, but I just broke the tip of it off. So now it's stuck in there. I don't even know where it's at. I can barely see it. So, and it's tiny, but it definitely is present. So that hurts a little bit. Nevertheless, can't think of anything else. I'm gonna call it a night, and I'll catch you all in a little bit. Well, for me it'll be hours. For you it'll be seconds. So this morning, everybody, I went ahead and did another siding water test. It was a short test, but it was with the hose. I sprayed it for probably 45 seconds to a minute with just a whole bunch of water, just spraying it. Came in here and looked. I don't see any leaking, so I went ahead. That corner is relatively dry. It's pretty dry, so as dry as I'm gonna get it for now. But we're gonna go ahead and put our OSB on and start re-sheathing stuff. So for the OSB sheet that I'm gonna be putting down, or both of them, I'm not going to paint over the screws. So what I'm gonna do is paint the OSB sheet sitting in here, and then I'm gonna screw through the white. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I ever need to take the OSB out and if something ever happens, I don't have to pick out the like screws. I can take them out. If you caulk over them or paint over them, it sucks. They're super hard to get off. So I'm gonna go get the OSB, see if I can get it up in here. I need to measure this and actually probably cut the OSB now I think about it, because this is not 8 feet. I think it's a little under 8 feet. So we're probably 91 and an 8 for the first measurement. Now I got to get up in here and measure out here a little more, make sure we're still at, oh, I just sunk that, whoops. 91, oh, I meant 91 and 7/8. So a 4x8 sheet of OSB is going to be 96. This measurement we're going to do is going to be, we'll say 92. If it doesn't fit, I can trim it. But for now, we're just going to do 92 as our measurement because the camper is not perfect. We tried to make it as square as we could, but it's not quite square. It's like within a 16th to an 1/8 off. It kind of is what it is. We tried our best to make it as square as possible. So I'm just gonna shoot for 92, and I'm gonna go cut that, and yeah, we'll get that cut. Alrighty, y'all, it's been a minute since I recorded. I have been cutting like crazy. I originally used a piece of plywood to use as the filler. Didn't end up using it because it sat out so long it got wet, and I accidentally cut it wrong. It was like really spongy and weird. It was plywood, not OSB, but I went ahead and took my other sheet of OSB and just cut it because I wanted to look symmetrical. That's only bumped out because it's under pressure. When I screw that down, that'll flatten out. So here it is all done. The reason I had to cut it is because it would not fit as one sheet in here, because from corner to corner is 103 inches and you can't maneuver it in here. It would hit and get bound up, so I cut it. Also, I'm having to deal with the camper being out of square. As you can see right here, it's flush. Down there it's probably a 1/4 inch, maybe an 1/8 out, so that's no big deal because this is getting a trim piece over it right here. But it is in. I can get up here now. It's pretty sturdy. I'm not gonna paint it, or I'm gonna paint it like I said, and then I'll screw it down because I don't want the screws to get painted over. That'd be very difficult to get to. Alrighty, well, it has been a little bit since I've recorded. This has been a pain in the butt to work with. I may try the saw tomorrow, but I've been cutting it by hand with a steak knife that I sharpened to like a razor blade. And it's just not working very well. This stuff blows out quite easily, so I got it to fit in here after trimming a whole bunch, except for right here. It's not fitting. I gotta trim off like probably an inch. What I've been doing, I got this wall sheeted. It's actually on, not all the way, but I have stapled it in. I had to set the staples again because my dad had this regulator that he put on his, this is my dad's pneumatic narrow crown nailer, and this is a pressure regulator. If you don't know, there's two kinds of pressure regulators. There's an air kind, like flow, and then there's this where it's actually got a spring inside. This is the correct kind to have if you're trying to keep it from sinking, because the dial on here just doesn't offer enough range. If I just use the dial at the air compressor's pressure, which is anywhere from like over 110 to 60, it would go right through this, and that would suck. So I've been using this. So far I got it tuned in for a narrow crown. What is it? It's gonna be 1/4 inch, 18 gauge, and they're gonna be 1/4 of an inch, no, 1/2 inch, I think. I think this thing's set to 47-ish PSI. The best thing I've found to cut this stuff with that I have is a big hand saw, and also going really slow with a circular saw. And the hand saw I've used, I haven't used a reciprocating tool, jigsaw. We have one of those, but I just haven't used it yet. I've had to do some trimming around this because these trim pieces I have the one over there, they slide in to obviously hide whatever ugliness you do, like you would on a normal house. You trim around the windows, so. Well, y'all, it's the next day, and last night we had some rain. I am happy to report that the camper's not leaking. There is no more leaks, so I am super happy that it is not leaking. Very, very glad, actually, that it's not leaking, because I was a little worried that it might leak. Kind of strange right there. I see, look at around that versus around that. The hard thing is the wall's so cold you can't tell, so. Okay, I gotta look at that, see what's going on right there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Catastrophe has kind of struck here. I am so warm. I'm gonna have to go change out of this. My hair's soaking wet. I take this thing's wet all of a sudden. Like, I look at it and I'm like, it's soaking wet. I'm like, what? What? How did it not leak when I sprayed it with the hose? I'm like, it has to be leaking from somewhere else. Has to be leaking. Has to. There's no way that me spraying it with 60 PSI, like, I don't even know if I filmed it or not. I sprayed it with like the spray hose. How in the world is some drips running off it, getting it wet? And I'm like, I'm looking at it. And I took all this, I took the panel back off. Wasn't that easy, but I got it off. I mean, on the bright side, I guess I can get water in there. And I'm looking, and the stinking seam is wet all the way back there. And I'm like, how is that wet? Like, what? That's wet? What? Like, I'm so confused. And then I look down there. In that corner. And I'm like, dude, it's soaking wet. So then I go in the bathroom and look down in there, which I've had all this open. I had that out. It's soaking wet in there. Soaking wet, like fresh running water. So I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I come out here, and it's pouring rain on me. And I open this up, and it's soaking wet in here. And I'm like, dude, how is the water getting in? And I'm looking, and like there's some areas that I missed, but I'm like, dude, there's no way there's not water directly running in that. It's like a drip. That's like, that is water's been running on it. I'm like, okay, something is not right. I'm like, it could be the light leaking maybe, but I don't think it would be the light leaking. It still might be the light. I might have to get it, but I'm like, there's no way. There's not enough water running directly on the light. So I'm like looking around. I'm like, what? There's no way that it's leaking from that. There's no way. It didn't, there's no way. I come up here on the ladder and I'm looking around and there's a hole here and I'm like, well, I could seal that up. Can't, like, these lights are getting replaced. I'm like, okay, I'll just seal it up. I'm like, well, let me see if I can not fall here. This ladder's a little tipsy. I'm like, well, maybe it's like these leaking. Like I haven't redone these and I've been meaning to. Right there, dude. I'm like, what? What? Now I'm wondering, like, is it because I hammered on it with the hammer? Like there's a hole there? And I dug all this out? And sure enough, it looks pretty darn wet. But it doesn't almost look like it's that wet. I am so confused. I don't believe that water's getting in right here. I just don't believe it. Alright everybody, it's the next day. I ended up doing a whole bunch of more work. This silicone on this side had come delaminated, and this thing's been leaking, and I figured, supposedly we're supposed to get some like pretty serious rain here, like very soon, like actual serious rain. So I figured I better seal all this up. So there was disgusting, it's down there, you can see it down there. There's some super nasty fiberglass insulation, so I instead did 2 1-inch pieces of foam insulation and then a 1/2 inch piece facing down. So there's 2 that are faced like this and then 1 that's faced with the aluminum facing down. I siliconed along the edge. I've siliconed that and that. I gotta order a new one of those. These aren't in that great a shape either. I haven't done them yet because the silicone is kind of hard to get off. It's not super bad, but just lots and lots of scraping. So I'm gonna get this top on. I put some wax on it to maybe help it soak up some sheen a little bit. It was kind of dry, so a little wax never hurt. Plastic will soak it up and, well, might evaporate. But alrighty y'all, so that is back on. I gotta order one of those. I may order 2 of them and redo that guy, even though it's sealed up pretty good. I may not mess with that. Not quite sure yet. That one's got a little crack and I'll probably redo it, but silicone is done down under there. That one's siliconed, that one's silicone. These are a pain in the butt. Had I went back yesterday, I probably wouldn't have siliconed these and I would have used some roof paint just because it's a lot easier to apply to stuff like this. So this is the original, obviously destroyed. So yeah, I'm gonna get off this roof. Okay, wow. It has been all day since I filmed again. Been having to deal with some issues. YouTube. So I was doing another water test. It's cold. I was spraying water on the camper again. And it was leaking really bad. I was like in this area here inside. And I was like, what is leaking so bad? Like, it's leaking bad. It wasn't leaking up here like it was, but it was leaking there really bad inside. I come over here and the inside of this is filled with water, and I'm like, well, the water can run right down under this and soak everything. Well, somebody cut this guard out, so I put caulking on it, took a little bear, and I was like, oh, that just doesn't seem right. Something else seems like it's the issue. So I come over, or I take the door off, and I'm looking at the door, and it's stinking filled with water in here, and I flip it over, and the inner groove, oh, I just got my finger in caulking. Hold on. Yikes, man. So I come over here, and the inner groove in there is filled with water. Two things were happening. This was not doing its job at all. It was just filling with water. So that is fixed. That was definitely a huge problem. And then I climb up here, and this, I just fixed it. This whole thing was basically unsiliconed. I don't know what I did. It was like from here to here, there was a gap. There was basically no silicone. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I missed that, but I fixed it and it's drying. So hopefully all of that will be fixed, because the water was fresh and it was running to that corner and it was like very wet. And I was like, okay, something's definitely, water's getting in here and going that way. Figured it out. I'm like, cannot believe, one, that someone cut these. And even if this whole thing was gone, the stinking door filling up with water, man. That was filling up with water. So I went ahead and siliconed or caulked around this thing. The silicone I've been using, by the way, I actually haven't showed it. You can get tons of different kinds of silicone, but silicone's really expensive. This is $9 for this tube of silicone, which is absolutely ridiculous. All-purpose silicone, 7-year mold-free, same-day rain-ready, more like 3-hour rain-ready. They have an advanced version of this that says 3 hours. This cures in like 3 hours. It cures very quick. Indoor, outdoor, non-paintable. Silicone is non-paintable, but it's clear. There's clear and white, but this is what I've been using. So let me see if I can show it. So there's where I sealed it up. That's some silicone that I put through that hole. That hole wouldn't take a screw, so like I was saying before, there's two 1-inch pieces with the aluminum facing up right there, and then there's that there, which is thicker 1/2 inch. That's actually some leftover stuff I had. That's not this stuff here. It's the better stuff, but it's a mess in here again. I gotta clean. I've just been really trying to make sure that it's not leaking. That right there is the, I've showed the bathroom. It's disgusting in here. That right there is that outer piece that I was talking about where I didn't seal it really good. If you go down in that corner down there, look at how wet that is down there, you guys. It's really hard for me to get the camera there. So I was like, okay, the water is either coming from that corner or it's coming from that thing. Definitely coming from that thing. I think it's gonna rain tonight. I'm actually needing rain. The garden hose works, but rain's just, it's natural. It's what it's gonna actually encounter. Like, the hose works, obviously that's from the hose, but there's nothing like a good old rain to really test it and see where it's leaking or if it's leaking. So water's all from me. I came up here and redid these, and upon taking these screws out, they were both soaking wet and completely rotten. There was basically no screw left. So these have been re-siliconed. I didn't do those over there because they don't really hold water like these guys do. Like you can see it's puddling up, and that's because of the roof. Who knows what it looks like under here? I don't want to know. It's a muddy mess, you guys. Well, it's raining. It's the next day by a little bit. I think it's the next day. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is future Tyler coming to you. It has been it's probably been a week since I recorded that clip. I ended up filming the main issue of what was wrong with leaking. If you couldn't tell, I started getting very overwhelmed by the leaks because it was the leak was really difficult to find. But nevertheless, I did a whiteboard drawing, and I didn't illustrate it well on the whiteboard drawing, and I figured I would just come to you in the future and tell you guys to, what was I just gonna say? So I figured I would come to you guys here in the future, knowing what I know now, and tell you what the issue was and what to do about it. Also, real quick, drop a like and subscribe, and stick around. The video is, well, it is a long video, but I do like to make my videos informative. I don't want them to just be fluffy videos. So let's get into what actually happened here real quick and talk about it. It's a crimped joint, so this face travels backwards and then travels down and sticks down to about here behind this, and you staple into that into your wall. What I didn't realize was, so what ended up happening is I was out here in the pouring rain trying to figure out what was going on, and my dad came out here briefly just to check on me and make sure I was doing all right, and we were talking just very, very briefly about what was going on. And we got to talking, and I realized the issue. I realized what was going on. So I don't even remember the conversation. It was so quick. It was like a 30-second conversation. But what ended up happening is, so the way these slide in is they slip into this joint. So this gets stapled on, then you slip this under, then you staple it on down here, and then this slides over the staple to both seal the staple and seal the joint. And the water usually won't travel backwards. If you had some issue where the joint was cut funny, it might not work, but not realizing it, I had sealed these and just thought that wiping it with my finger would be enough. Well, it turns out it wasn't enough. What was happening is I was wiping my finger in these joints, and it was maybe filling it up to here with silicone on this joint. What was happening is these joints naturally hold water because water wicks and it'll hold in the joint a teeny bit. It's not that it's a bad thing, it's inevitable. The water can't, it will come out, but it's not, it shouldn't travel backwards up the joint. What was happening is since I had siliconed to here, the water was going to fill up. Why do I sound like I'm giving a documentary? So what would happen is the water would fill up to here, or I siliconed up to here. Just wipe it with my finger, I'm in a hurry. This joint would fill up with water and flow over the silicone and in behind this beauty trim. By the way, this beauty trim is supposed to have this stuff over it to keep the screw heads from getting wet. I need to order some more of this stuff and do it. For now, it's fine though. So it was filling this joint up with water and flowing over my silicone. What I ended up doing was, after a lot of thinking and trial, and in the moment I was very in a hurry and did it, I went through and stuck that scraper that I haven't showed that you'll see later in the video. I stuck the scraper up in here, pumped a whole bunch of silicone in here, and pulled the scraper out, and it actually mushed the silicone flat and sealed this joint. How do I know that these joints were leaking? Well, that day it was really rainy. I took the air hose and I stuck the air hose right here in this joint, and I opened this up and I stuck my hand back behind here and blew air, and I could feel air coming through here. What else I did was I looked back here, and the board, I need to re-put that on. The board that runs here and here was soaking wet. So I knew that there had to be water getting in. So I went through every single joint. You guys can't see it. I went through every single joint and absolutely pumped them full of silicone. And thank the Lord, it completely fixed it. I don't remember if I filmed it, but later on in this video, in which you'll be watching, later on in the video, I don't know if I filmed it or not, it actually turned into like a torrential downpour. Let me go back here so my face is better lit. So I don't know if I filmed it or not, but later in the video that you're currently watching, a couple days ago, we had really high wind and a lot of rain, so much so that it was pouring off the side of the camper. I was nervous, but I felt confident because to me, that was really the last thing. I feel like I'd finally found that the end of that joint where it ends and is crimped together was leaking water over my silicone. Sure enough, it poured rain. I mean, it rained hard. It was windy, so the rain was hitting the side of the camper. There was no leaks, none. All the leaks were gone instantly. So all the leaking was because I didn't seal these joints. This one's really, you can actually see this one really well. So you can see I silicone all the way back to here. This joint's full of silicone. And what was happening is, again, just to show you guys, water would come down here and wick up under and fill up and flow over my silicone. And another reason is when I redid this, because I redid that side over there, I didn't redo this side all the way. I was being lazy and I should have redone it. When I took this off, it was soaking wet. Now that's also attributed to that was up there leaking, which I redid this entire side, that entire J channel joint, so that's a whole lot better. So all that being said, I just wanted to come in and tell you guys that was the issue. There's birds flying around. It's an amazing bluebird day. So I want to get this video off for you guys. I'm really trying to edit. I got a lot of video footage, and I'm actually super happy with this. I can't give you guys a sneak peek yet, but just know that there was a lot of work that happened inside. So the first part of this video is kind of a leak solving video, but just know that this second part coming up here is we're gonna get back to fixing the inside. This thing, bird's going crazy, but nevertheless, I just wanted to explain that. So let's head back inside. Oh, well, I'm gonna head back inside. You guys go watch the rest of the video. Thanks. Already wanted is the next day. Whoa, this darn thing, I tell you what, this trim has been in my road so much. I got this cut. I do have earplugs in, so if I'm a little loud. I got the window cut out. Fits great. I did have to do a little trimming down here. So what we're gonna do now is what I was originally gonna do like days ago, which is rip this out. So I'm going to be using a multi-tool with an end cutter on it. Make sure you tighten these really tight. Don't strip them out, but you want to get them tight because these will come off. So I'm just going to cut into 4 spots, and if all goes to plan, this should come out. If you do have a vent, a roof vent or an escape hatch, you want to unscrew that because it screws into this. So I took mine out, so all I should have to do is cut the 4 spots and it should fall down. That blade's not meant for metal, so I gotta go get a metal blade. Okay. You know what else I think I'm gonna do? Oh, it's kind of too late to do that. Well, if I come along this side, I gotta remove the 2 bricks that are up here sitting on top of the styrofoam, because that's what I used to seal that. So they're quite heavy, I can tell. That's why that is sinking really bad. This has little notches on it when you're using it. You can see the little pins sticking up right there. Those correlate with that, so I'll stick it in there like that. You want to make sure it sits flush, like not gapped out. Back to cutting. That stinks. Oh. I need, what do I do I need? The joys of doing stuff by yourself. Okay. Here. 2 screws. Ouch. 2 screws. Oh, it was a staple that was on end. Well, that figures. Oh, gosh. Okay, okay. Holy smokers! What the heck? Ow, my back! What a sucky ordeal to get out. Holy smokes, that was a lot harder than I thought. Oh, scratching me back, mate. This can just go over there. This can all come off. Don't breathe. Don't breathe, dude. I need a vacuum. I'll be back. You see that? That's fiberglass. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Oh my gosh, give it.
What? Give. What the what? Wow. What's happening? We're safe. Against fiberglass, you are safe. Okay. So. Ow. I'm gonna go get some lumber and do cutting measurements and stuff you guys don't need to see. Basically, what I'm gonna do is run 2 2x4s this length, and then I'm gonna cut a 2x4 the distance in between those 2 2x4s, screw the 2x4s into the end, and then screw it to the wall, because if I had all the siding off I could, you know, do it properly, but I'm having to do it not super great. You guys will get to see it. Catch you in a little bit. Man, I wish I knew what time it was. Well, y'all, it's been a little bit of a long day. I hit my head pretty hard on this here. I'm gonna have to put some foam there. Why that wasn't chamfered. I got the roof done, the new framing. I'll show you guys here in a second. Oh, I got stuff in my eye. Having to hurry because it looks like it's gonna start raining, so wasn't able to get done all that I wanted to get done. Ah, a little red, I'm sorry y'all, it's definitely hurting. Here is the new roof. It's not super what I wanted or had hoped for. It's not bad though, I got up there and walked on it already. But here it is, so you can see I sent screws in at an angle here just to hold these, and then it's got 2 staples on top just to keep it from moving around a whole lot, or on the bottom right there, keep it from moving around. What I did was I screwed into that board and then screwed into the wall in 3 different spots, and same thing over there. It works okay, it doesn't work wonderful. The edge of this can flex pretty good, but other than that, it's not bad. You might be able to pocket jig that, but it's what you're obviously supposed to do is screw in from the outside, but not happening. So I got up there and stood on it. It's pretty darn strong. So I can show you guys that here. Something else I did, I got a piece of wood in my eye. To help this have a downward slant, I put some pieces of plywood in there, cut at 14 this way and 25 that way. When I screw this down, it'll give the roof a slant a little bit. It was a little bumpy. I mean, it's really strong. Like, it's pretty darn sturdy, man. I can go to the middle of this, which is right here, and I'll flip around. I mean, I can... there's no reinforcement that needs to happen. So, and I will get up on the roof and show you guys me standing up on the roof. Yeah, I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be sitting up here like drinking coffee. Like literally this will be my extent of it. I'll get up here, I will sit. Or I probably won't sit right here because that thing. This, by the way, fits very exact. I'll show you guys that later. That took a lot to clean. But you know, I'm not gonna be up here jumping around. I can go back there and jump around on the plywood that's back there. You could sheet the top of these 2x4s with plywood, and then on top of the plywood you could put some of these little strips, and maybe in one spot drill like a hole through the plywood, some small holes. What that will allow water to do, obviously, because it's going to condensate no matter what. With metal, after doing lots of research on container homes and stuff, the only way to have metal not condensate is to use spray foam. And I hate spray foam. I think it's super bad for you. I think it off gases, and I just don't like it. I don't like spray foam. Fiberglass does just fine. There's no need to use spray foam. And if you ever need to get in the wall for anything, like, good luck. Your wiring is in place permanently. You can never run new wire, none of that. So, just ridiculous. Just stick with spray foam. It's really, stick with fiberglass. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like it's any worse for you, that's for sure. But you want to wait for the water to be able to get out, and you definitely want to paint the top of the plywood. Like, I guarantee you back here where there's plywood back here, if I were to open that up, I bet you it is well, needing to be replaced, to say the least. Down the road, I might consider taking the roof off this, but that's if I have like a shop I can work in. And I don't plan on getting rid of this anytime soon, but I need somewhere where I can be like dry and set stuff out. Because at the end of the day, the roof actually is probably the easiest thing, as crazy as it sounds. The roof's probably the easiest thing to take off a camper, because all you have is vents and the outer perimeter, and that's it. The roof comes right off. And the roof usually, I would say always, is over the aluminum, so you don't even have to touch your siding. You just bend all the staples up and peel the roof off. You want to be careful with roofs. Alrighty, y'all, it's the next day. My camera filled up with, my SD card filled up last night, and I was done filming, to say the least. So, got my doodad here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this wall off, just like we did that side. I'm not gonna show you guys any of like resealing it. I figure I'll just show you guys taking it off and me cleaning who knows what's behind there. I cleaned. I still have a little bit more to do, so we're running into the issue again. I forgot I got the sheet right over here. The 4x8 sheet, and I realized that just like the floor here, I'm gonna have to cut that sheet up there because I can't actually get it in here. I have it sitting in here right here, but I can't rotate it because it's not obviously wide enough in here. So I just got a cheap steak knife, sharpen the end on a sander, and then sharpen this on the sander, and it's very sharp, so I figured I'd show you guys how I'm doing this. So here's the steak knife. I just sharpened this end down on our belt sander and sharpened this as well. It's very sharp and it works great. You can cut that thick of foam with it. So it moved a little bit. That's all right. So now I'm going to cut down it. Well, there you go. Aluminum side's gonna face out. Plastic side will face in. And I'm gonna get the rest of these cut, and then I will meet you guys inside. Alrighty, y'all. Sorry if it's a little underlit. Got everything cut, so I should just be able to put these pieces in their respective spots. I'd prefer if they fit a little tighter, but I'd also prefer it if they didn't buckle. So okay, that fits a whole lot better. I'm gonna force this in there. And that over there is foamed in. So last we gotta foam that. We have some old denim insulation. I'm gonna use a teeny bit of that up there because that foam probably will just fall out. And then tomorrow, this whole front section will be done. I'll put the walls on, these panels here. That panel, which goes to that side, and that panel right there, which goes to that side. And then I gotta cut that 4x8 sheet, and that will go above me on the roof. Alrighty, everybody. I don't know when the last time I recorded was. I'm tired today. I'm getting pretty wore out going up and down the steps and crawling on the roof. It's just about done. So I got a little bit more to film, and then I'm ending this video and we'll move on to some other video. Probably we'll move on to the countertop next, but as you can see, the wall is actually on, like legitimately stapled in, not coming off. The roof is on, and that wall is on. The only area I haven't done is up there and along those two corners. So that is in and siliconed. Didn't go in fantastic. That thing's definitely temporary. When I get money down the road, I'll spend a couple $100s to buy a better one, but for now that thing is just super siliconed in there and it's watertight. So but nonetheless, the walls are in. You can see I had to set these. I had to get my dad's help with this. It was quite hard to get up in there, so thanks to my dad for helping me out. Also, remember where your stud layout is, because I shot a couple of these in the open air and it didn't do anything, of course, because it's open air, but I had to set all these staples. I just set them with this little punch right here. Just set it on the head and give it a little tap tap. That way I can go through and caulk all these. That sounded weird. We'll see what I'm going to do here. I'll probably just put a trim piece in because there's going to be a bed, pardon my knuckle. That'll be easy enough to do. But I am actually really tired today. This has been a challenge in a different way than the truck, like I said, I think before. It has been, it's been kind of difficult, not gonna lie. It's been a lot of like staring at really screwed up stuff and finally, like, thank the Lord. I finally get to see some stuff put together. Like, it feels so good to have like this level of put togetherage. Like it's insulated. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to go on an adventure in this thing. It makes me smile. Oh man, I can't wait. It makes me happy just thinking about it. So, my dad had this, I don't know if I showed this already, had this regulator. It's got a spring in it, and it looks like it's set to 50 psi. It could be a little bit more. There is an adjustment on here, and I have that adjusted all the way out because I would rather adjust with this than that. Nonetheless, I've just been kind of going through and like trying to mend some of this stuff. It's not, you know, super great. Like this area here, I pinned this up, but this is, I mean, it's junk. You can see that it's all cracked out, but for right now it'll do. You can tell the difference that side versus that side. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is the next day, and I am sitting up here in my finished area. Yesterday we got some serious rain. Like, the forecast said like 20 to 30 mile an hour wind, something along there. It was very windy and heavy rain, and I was afraid that this thing was going to leak, but at the same time I was pretty sure that I'd fixed it with what we were talking about earlier with the seams. Thank the Lord, it is fixed. There was no leaking. There might be a little bit down there from a screw that I need to silicone around for the jack, but I don't, like, no more wall leaks that I see or that were bad enough to like fill the wall cavity. And it was, let me tell you, it was raining. Like hard pouring rain. So thank the Lord it is not leaking. Other news to report. I am working on making this area here. I just made it. It's sitting right over there. I want to talk about a little bit here as we get towards the end of this video. What to expect when you're buying these campers and kind of the years and areas to be aware of. So, be aware of. Is that how you say that? Nevertheless, so my camper is a 77. Anywhere from basically the late 60s to early 70s to the late 80s, you're kind of looking at that era of campers when they were like not great quality. We'll just leave it at that. They were not great quality. They were not built well. It was a time period when people did not care about quality. They wanted it out the door as fast as they could get it with really no inspection and quality. You get into the early 90s and so on, and campers start turning into that more cliche style camper that you see today, where they're not really aluminum. The early ones I don't believe were aluminum, but you get into that wood, double paneled, sandwiched, fiberglass sides, somewhat better quality, you know, built in bigger factories. And it depends on what camper you buy, obviously. If you get a Lance, it's going to be different than some hokey, podokey, small town camper like this one. And then you get into the mid 60s and before, into like the 50s. Those campers are so simple. They're really just wood. I saw one on Marketplace actually, and it was older than this, which means it was probably a 60s camper. And it was so simple. It was just like, it didn't even have like some interior paneling. It was basically like a shed with aluminum on it. It was very simple, so you don't really have to worry about that much, because they were so simple. It wasn't like you could build them wrong. I mean, you could, but it was just a different time period, right? And I think what I'm learning is that I need to just enjoy myself. I've been focusing a lot on like, it's got to be perfect. Like, I can't screw up. Like, I can't do anything wrong. And there's some things you want to do a good job. It really is a healthy balance. You want to do a good job, but you don't want to be like weird about it, okay? Because I've had both happen where I've been like overly over about it, and then at the same time I've had times where I've probably should have done a better job. And I'm learning every day, obviously, as most people are, but I just want to say that. So we're gonna get this wall in. Oh, by the way, this is a Mac Tools, what's the part number? An SP16A, made in the USA. It's a scraper. Get yourself a scraper. This works so much better than that or that. These things work great. They're for like, they're like adhesive removers basically, or gas. What this actually is a gasket remover for like water pump gaskets, manifold gaskets, things like that on motors. So let's see here. Let's see how good or bad said piece fits. It fits. Oh, it fits horrible. Wow, what's new? Oh man. Well, everybody, it is in there. I had to trim some off here and some off the top. I'm gonna have to figure out what it's hitting on that's causing it to gap so bad. And I'm definitely going to be trimming this out because, well, yeah, stuff's not square. May have left the factory square, but definitely not square now, so. Also, real quick, I want to show you guys. I got the new cap for the vent, which is right there, that was just open. Got this off eBay. It's really cheap. I want to say it was like $8, but it does the trick. It is for, where did it say on it? It says for 1 inch to 2 3/8 inch OD pipe, outer diameter pipe. Pull to remove, take that off, screw it on. Sewer vent. That's what those are called. Sewer vent pipe cap thing. Yeah. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it has been quite some time since I recorded. When I tell you this has been the biggest pain in the butt that I have done on this, it's been the biggest pain in the butt. Not super easy, to say the least. So let me show you what we got here. That side, I already showed you guys. That side fits okay. It's got a gap right there, which sucks. I've had to like cut and it's super whack. This side over here, I made in 2 pieces. Bottom fits pretty good. Top was short because I made it wrong, so I added a piece in there. Not super happy about that. Really don't like it, but and then this all fit. I put this in and was short in the middle, which sucks. I didn't want to do that, but thankfully it's aesthetic. I don't know if I showed you guys before, but they had this structural piece split like that, except there was no center. So I just patched that in. Not super happy with it, but it is what it is. That's all good to go. Remember, all of this is getting trimmed out because it's so uneven and whack, and it's just, this camper did not go together great. So I am going to, I think, well, oh gosh, I'm tired. We got one last area to do, and that's down here. And what I'm gonna do down there is do foam board, and then I think my dad said he had some fiberglass and then I may put in there. We do have wool insulation, but wool will mold, and I don't want to do that. It's under the main window set that already fits poorly because it's a poor design. So yeah, the walls are pretty well done. That up there is done pretty good. You guys can't even see it. This over here, it turned out all right. Like you can see so you can see I just made sure I stapled it really well. And up there, again, not super great, but what I've been doing is going around and going like this and making sure that it's not loose anywhere. A spot where I think it's loose is right there, so I gotta make sure I get that fixed. But alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is the next day. Holy smokes. So last night I had a realization. It's really dark in here. I got the door closed, got the little space heater going. It's cold this morning. In a previous clip I talked about one area on this thing that I thought there was mold. I completely, and some of you probably noticed, maybe, I completely forgot. So I completely forgot that that area was the board that's under here. I thought about it last night. I thought, you know, I could just leave it and not worry about it. But if it is black mold or it is mold, it will spread. The right thing to do is to take care of it. Thought I was going to be ending this episode, but I guess not. I'll probably be ending it today because all I have to do is that, which will probably take 45 minutes. This will probably take another 45, but I'm going to paint it with the old Kills primer here. So y'all know what it used to look like. It used to look like that. Beginning of next episode. Actually, you know what? We'll do it on this episode. Yeah. No, we're gonna do it next episode. Next episode. This is basically the only area on the camper I haven't been, is whatever is behind that door. And that door is whatever is underneath that, which I'm afraid. But beginning of next episode, I'm gonna open that up. I'm gonna see what's under there. So let's get to tearing part of that panel off and fixing this. Alright everyone, so I got this painted up here. Show you guys that I did 3 coats along that face. You can see it's pretty well coated. I actually got a whole bunch of paint left over, so I went ahead and painted this area here with the Kills primer, and then I painted up the walls and painted down there best I could. I see I missed some spots. You can't see down in there. Painted that, so and then I painted that and put a second coat on that little edge there, and by that time I had run out, so I'm not going to be doing any more painting. I just didn't want to waste a whole bunch of paint because I had a lot left. So nonetheless, that is now coated with paint, and I went ahead and wiped this edge down with vinegar because this was the contacting edge of that whatever it was, mold we'll say. So I just want to wipe that down so there was no chance of like mold transferring to the outside of my painting job. Alrighty everybody, so I'm done. Not my best work, but I shot those staples in. That thing does not shoot 1.5 inch staples like it's rated for. It doesn't do it worth beans at all. I mean, it doesn't even come close to being able to shoot them in. The reason I had to add those kickers or whatever, those were flexing really bad, so I added a spot where I could staple them in. Not for structure, just so I can staple that to that. Yeah, I'm gonna get all this put together and I will catch you guys when this is all done. Holy smokes, I look like a crazy guy. Well, I just what did I just well, I just put some insulation in. Okay, back to semi-normal. I wore a mask and I wore some gloves and made sure my sleeves were pulled up. It was paper backed. Just peeled the paper off. When you do, you just kind of get, there's like a layer. You'll be able to see it if you ever use fiberglass. And you can just peel it off. So just some stuff we had lying around. So I split it in half. So there's like 3 pieces in there. There's 2 there, 2 up top, and then some there and there. But that is the fiberglass. I'm really trying to get it for you guys. There we go. That's the fiberglass put in. Got the roof put back on and stapled a little bit better. Just got to go through and set staples. I'm gonna do that off camera, but I'm gonna get that on and then I will outro this video. No, this is the way it goes. Okay. See you later, fiberglass. Hope I never have to touch you again. Go ahead and let's see. Boom. 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 Where was that one? One here. Down here. Quick tip for y'all. If you shoot in line with the grain, so let's say this is your staple head right here. If you shoot in the grain, it will sink deeper, versus if you shoot this way, it grabs the grain and it won't go through the wood. You can also shoot it like a slight angle, and that helps, but you'll definitely know when it goes through because it will go through. So I am going to end this. I'm a dark figure. Let me bring you all up here. So, woo! Got it in down here. As you can see, it's in. Had an issue up there because I pulled that off because it was breaking down there, but I don't know what the deal was. So, we got everything's in. I gotta set a whole bunch of staples, but it's for the most part. So everybody, I am going to end this video here. This is going to be the camper episode number 6. I thank you all so much for watching. If you have watched this far, dropping a like and possibly considering subscribing is much appreciated. Very much so. Woo-wee. This was not easy, but we got insulation in, got the leaks fixed, got the wall sheathing plywood on, stapled on, got the window cutouts cut out pretty well. All in all, turned out not too bad. I would say there were some areas I could have spent a little extra time on and got, it really good, but it's pretty darn good. So next up will be, I gotta set some of these staples, make sure there's no loose areas. To check for looseness, I've just been kind of going along and doing the light tapping. So next up, as you can see, the camper is a mess, everybody. Next up is going to be this countertop, so I gotta get all this cleaned off. As you can see, this is where everything's accumulated. Next up is going to be the counter, so that will just probably go over here for right now. But alright, everybody, well, thank you so much for watching, and without further ado, I will catch you guys on the next episode. You can head over to the channel, watch previous videos of the camper and my truck and lawnmower revivals and combine revivals and all kinds of stuff, but obviously I do have camper videos over there. So without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching. God bless.